We're live for day 4. Hello, I am your host, Allison Ziegler, the CEO, creator, founder of Allison Ziggy, and I am here today for day 4 to talk to you about ease. I'm gonna let this ease in for a second, so if you want to go ahead and get comfortable, please be my guest. I have a liquid concoction of, it's literally just liquid IV. And I have this big giant straw. So I'm going to take a quick second. Get yourself oriented. Get yourself organized. Oh, I've been really enjoying sitting on the couch because I feel like it's like a less, like when you're in a live, you kind of want to be not just more interactive, but it's less imposing than being on a desk over there. So, hello, good morning. We've already had quite a morning today, haven't we? I'm definitely going to be talking about what had happened with that because that's a key part of the story, and talking about how when things are uncomfortable, and looking into ease and looking at things, whether something's a sign to give up or whether something is a sign to keep going in the midst of what's not working. So, early on in my business, I don't know that I don't want to say that I've never publicly said this, but I have wanted to give up so many times. It was one of these things where for years it was an inconvenient dream, which actively kind of combated what I was doing with my career. But along the way of anything that you're creating or any changes that you're making in your life, oftentimes you're going to run into fences, or it reminds me of if you've ever seen the movie Inception, where you're watching it and it's like if you act differently, your reality sometimes kind of combats against you a little bit. And so with planners, I'm like, yeah, I brought a friend today. So with my planners, this winter launch was literally the most ridiculous launch I have ever had. And it's funny because it was the first launch where I had the time and the space and the energy to dedicate to it as my full-time endeavor. And it was just a fiasco. So everything from usually it's pretty streamlined, it's pretty easy, but it was just something with this launch. I got the first batch of planners printed. Hi everyone. I got the first batch of planners printed and they were just a mess. The pages were aligned improperly. So whenever you turn the page, it just basically the month didn't look like this. The month had one page. It was 1 month on 2 pages. And so I couldn't use them. And so the day before they were scheduled to go out, I had to go and find a last minute printer in New York City, which is not, it's not a conducive way to do business, printing these in New York City last minute. It was really stressful. So I had to go, I got those, I did what I had to do. I fulfilled the orders. And then I've just had these planners sitting here and they're misprints. And I haven't felt comfortable A, selling them, or B, using them or giving them to people, because I'm just who wants to use a planner that the month is on 2 pages? You don't want to have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You flip the page, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I don't know. For me, I was just this doesn't even feel like something I would want to give to somebody, let alone sell as a product. And so they've been sitting on my desk and I'm oh, I'll get to it. And one of the orders it arrived, but it is missing. It's lost. And so it was this, at first, hello everyone joining. Thank you for joining me on Saturday morning. We're talking about whenever things are just not going your way and not using it as a sign to give up, in terms of ease doesn't necessarily mean that everything needs to always be going your way, but it's just ease is letting yourself pursue your dreams without actively beating yourself up. So I printed out the planners. They were all misprints. They were all wrong. I was just this is a fiasco. What am I going to do? Is this a sign to give up? That was where my brain would default whenever things wouldn't go right, is this a sign to give up? Is this some external sign you need to stop? And it's you just need to shift yourself out of that energy whenever that comes up, because the only sign that you ever need to give something up is that you don't want to do it anymore. If you don't want to do something, that is probably your sign that it's not aligned. If it's no longer making you happy, if it's not lighting you up, that is the only sign you need as evidence to give up. Don't give up whenever things aren't going your way. Just because something's challenging you doesn't mean that it's a sign to give up. So I want to also share this anecdote. This was an example that was given to me at my recent business conference, and this helped me so much. And this woman was talking about how she was raising money for one of her ventures. And she was talking about the fact that she had like 53 people's money and it was like for this business. And she made a pivot halfway through, or she got the product and something was wrong with it. Okay, so like a similar example, but like on a way larger scale. And she was just like, I just wanted to curl up in a hole and like disappear and vanish. I just felt so bad. And it's just like remembering that the adversities that you're facing are just priming you and preparing you for what you're meant to be doing and working on. And not everything that happens that's like a negative or a bad is like showing you that you need to pursue another path, or just completely like have gratitude for the things that aren't going right, because they're often just conditioning you for how you can approach these situations as you grow, as you get bigger, as things continue to go in the direction that you're working towards. And it's like, if you don't work out these kinks, so to speak, on the lower scale, how do you expect to handle it whenever it's a bigger scale? It's like you need to condition these muscles within yourself whenever things are going challenging, to get your thought processes in alignment so that it doesn't derail you. So today I had some things that were in place so that this didn't completely derail my day, and I want to invite you to kind of lean into structure as a means of ease. So with 2024, I know that we have so much that is thrown at us, like new year, new me, like this is the way I'm gonna make this my year, this is where I'm gonna like change everything about myself to finally make my dreams happen. And like, that's, if you've been following along with me, that's not the energy of how we're going about this new year. But I invite you to kind of lean into what feels good and things that you can do to make your life easier on yourself. So I've been following this creator, and she's been posting her alarm to her story. She wakes up at 5 a.m. And I was like, since going full time in my business, I feel like I've been lingering in like the 8:30 a.m. crowd, and just seeing her persistence, and like she said, sleeping in is out. And I was like, and she was like, wake up by 7:30. And it was like one of those things where this morning I carved out some time for myself, where I woke up at 7:30, I journaled, I read, I went for a run, and I've like made this new rule that I have to journal before I check Instagram. Like no mindless scrolling. Like I want to do something for myself, and this is honestly one of my best pieces of planning advice, is just do something for yourself before you even start your day. Otherwise, your day can get carried away and it can go in someone else's direction. So if you want to do something for yourself, like that is the best way to kind of honor yourself and ease into your day. So I journaled the 3 pages freehand this morning. I was feeling good. And then I saw that this planner didn't arrive. And like, I also saw that one of my favorite creators is like coming out with her own planner. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, is this like a double sign? Like, am I just meant to like abandon the planners? Because it was like, I just had so many hiccups and so many problems. It was so frustrating. But it was like, I have gotten to a place where it's possible to move through those thoughts so quickly. And that's what I invite you to create space for yourself in your life, where things like don't always have to go as planned. Things don't always need to be going your way. Things don't always, it's like regardless of what happens, you can find your way back to your core and back to your center incredibly easily and incredibly without too much strain, without feeling like there's too much pressure on yourself to make everything happen. Okay, so it's one of those things where it's like quickly being able to shift your perspectives is oftentimes all you need to be able to solve a problem. And I invite you to ask any questions that you have in terms of like, if you ever feel like you get knocked off your game and something just feels like stressful or hard and you're just like, is this a sign to give up? It's 11:11 right now, so it's very much a sign not to give up. But just like, if there's anything that you feel like's been a setback that you have questions on or anything, just like let me know in the chat. It was so funny. Yesterday I was talking to my friend about my Instagram lives, and I was like, yesterday it was the weirdest energy. I had to like stop and disconnect and reconnect to it. And I was like, sometimes I just like can't look at who's joining, because it's like, I don't know, people jump on, jump off, it's live. We're like interacting, you know what I mean? And she was like, well, that's because you're supposed to interact with people. And I was like, oh, what a revolutionary concept. So I don't know. I wanted to just pose that out there. If anybody does have any questions interacting in the chat, please feel free to add it. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking about the way that I perceive ease and the way that the philosophies that have really served me with personally approaching this perspective in my life. Because I used to be heavy, like I used to put all the burden of creation on myself. Like I felt like in order to achieve the outcomes I wanted in my life, it was like up to me to do 100% of the work. And I've since adopted a different philosophy where if something's not working, I'm able to look at the situation differently, or I'm able to ask for guidance in terms of being able to look at the situation differently. So I think that the ultimate way whenever things aren't going your way is just to take a step back and like don't catastrophize. I definitely feel guilty of catastrophizing sometimes, making things so much bigger than they need to be. Like, nothing needs to mean more than what it is. Like, in terms of the planners being misprinted, it just means that they were misprinted and then I found a solution. In terms of not arriving, it just means it didn't arrive and I can fix it. Do you know what I mean? Nothing necessarily means, it doesn't mean that it's like this great big divine sign to give up or stop trying. And I think that sometimes we can look, like if you're looking for evidence that something's not working, you will find it. Like if you want to be like, give me a sign to give up, like you will receive that. If that's what you're like, you know what I mean? Where you're putting your attention is what's going to grow. So instead, like just leaning into what's working, leaning into what's feeling good. If you're feeling, I invite you to also look at, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of human design, but there's this concept within human design. It's based on your birth chart. And so it's basically just a read of your energy in terms of like when you were born. And it has certain strategies for how you're supposed to move around in the world. My not self theme is frustration. So there's this part and it's called a not self theme. And it's a indicator of whenever you're acting out of alignment with like your true energy. But beyond that, it's like if I'm feeling frustration in this case, like some of the not self themes are like dissatisfaction or frustration, or you know, it's kind of like these unfavorable emotions. And so I know anytime that I'm experiencing frustration, it's a cue to like walk away and stop trying to go down that path. And oftentimes, all that's needed to get out of a situation is just a quick shift in perspective. I was talking to a client yesterday and she was talking about this situation at work and she was explaining to me what was happening. And I was kind of like, take a step back. And she was explaining to me like in specific detail what wasn't working in terms of the Excel sheet, in terms of the migration, in terms of like very nitty gritty details about what was not working. And I was just like, you're not going to solve the problem from this perspective. Like this perspective of like explaining the problem, we're not going to solve it from there. You need to take a step back, and beyond that, you need to take a step up. Like take a step back, like look for themes. Has this happened before? Is this trying to get your attention? Is this trying to show you something? Oftentimes, when you keep experiencing the same situations, the same circumstances, the same challenges, the same trials, it's because there's a lesson you haven't fully embodied yet, or it's just trying to get your attention to a better way. So with the planners, I'm going to keep bringing it back to this example. It was because I was meant to work with a different printer. And it's not that I was meant to work with a printer who helps me out of the quick binds, but it was, I had been meaning to move printers for probably the last 3 or 4 seasons. Like, and I've only been doing this for a year. So it's like, I knew that who I was working with was out of alignment, and I never would have taken that. I would have just kept reactively working with the same person. And so when they were misprints, I kind of fired my printer. And so it got to this point where I was just like, I am being forced to level up now. So, you know, you can sit and look at this as like, oh, should I give up? Or it's like, it can be like, no, I'm going to step up. Like, don't give up, step up. I love that. That's so cheesy and corny, and I love it. That's like definitely going to be the embodiment of moving forward. You know, this past week, it's been really interesting. So it's been like, and I realized I hadn't written in my planner at all. And that was part of like feeling lost. Was I feel like this week, our sense of time was a little bit skewed. So I know I'm personally looking to get back into the swing of things, get back into the flow, get back into alignment, get back into what feels good in the new year. And my favorite way to use this time of year is to use it to dream. And my favorite way that I spend New Year's Eve is I just use it as a time to manifest and craft and create. So tomorrow, for the final day of the challenge, it's going to be interactive, and we're going to be actually doing some creative manifesting. So I invite you to come with any intentions that you have tomorrow, anything that you're looking to create. I talk about journaling all the time in terms of creating and manifesting, and my biggest intention for these resources and thought processes that I'm showing you is just, number one, I want to like really reiterate that this is not always the way that I've lived my life. I became this way, A, out of necessity, B, it's a lot easier on the nervous system to not be constantly questioning your every decision and like beating yourself up in your head. Like so I just want to say, like, even today, I was able to observe the way that I would have reacted in the past versus the way that I was showing up today. And it was stark, and it really reiterated. I was like, this is why I'm a good coach. I was like, huh. But it's true. So it's just, I really want to acknowledge, A, where you're at today, but B, know that like you can always change, and you can always choose a better thought. You can always decide to feel better even when things aren't going your way, and just lean into, I would almost equate ease to giving yourself grace, giving yourself space, and just like whenever things aren't okay, knowing that it's not a permanent state. So I would say that I'm really excited for tomorrow. I just wanted to reiterate, like this is a change that I actively made in my life that's made things so much easier for myself, and it's the willing to shift your perspective and just giving yourself kindness and grace in the midst of any adversity you're facing. So, sorry, my nose is like so itchy. So, for tomorrow, we are going to be doing some crafting. I'll send out, if you're on the registered list, I'll send out some details, but we're just going to do some manifesting crafting. That is the way that I equate to getting into the flow. Tomorrow's theme is flow. So, it's all about flowing into the new year instead of just like attacking and feeling like you need to do everything yourself. So, that's pretty much the way that I approach life with ease. And it was interesting that in the midst of teaching about ease, I was faced with some uneasy situations, but you can always find your way back to center and always choose a better path, but also just choose to move things through things. It doesn't, I find that when we catastrophize, it's like you're putting so much magnitude on something that doesn't need to be overly significant. So, with that, let's just take some deep centering breaths and kind of get aligned for the day, and then we'll create our new year tomorrow. So I invite you to go ahead and close your eyes. You can place a hand on your heart, hand on your belly. You can release. Breathe in, hold at the top. Breathe in again, and release. And I invite you to just collect your energy into the space. And I invite you to call to mind moments from this past year where you just felt free, liberated. And it just felt like things in your life were working. And it wasn't a lot of effort. It wasn't any forcing. There's a difference between effort and force. And just see yourself, and you can even create a memory from this upcoming year if you really want to. You can't really think of anything. You can think of seeing yourself just in a moment of total and complete ease. And I want you to feel those sensations in your body. Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel sunshine? Do you feel hopeful? Lean into those feelings of what you're experiencing and understand that while our feelings are fleeting, we can often use them as clues to what's going to serve us. If you're ever experiencing an emotion that doesn't feel good, you have the ability to question it. Approach your life through a place and a lens of curiosity as opposed to one of scrutiny. This year, I invite you to share in my intention to be on your own side and really work with yourself. And just imagining how much faster and how much more easily and effortlessly you can accomplish your dreams when you're on your own side and you trust your desires and you trust your heart and you lean into what feels good and you just remember, in spite of anything that happens, you are capable, you are confident, and you've got this. You can handle any challenge that comes your way. In fact, the challenges that come your way are just designed to strengthen you. Redirects are unexpected upgrades. Lean in and just know that anything that is crossing your path is only coming into your conscious awareness because it's something you're willing to face and it's something you're willing to heal. Really breathing into that. This upcoming year gets to be amazing. You get to be happy, you get to be fulfilled, you get to be satisfied, you get to be successful. You get to believe in yourself, and you get to be rewarded for following your dreams and trusting your intuition. Within this next day, I invite you to really lean into moments of ease. Lean into moments of grace. If someone offers to hold a door open for you, let them. If someone offers to carry something, let them. Let yourself receive acts of kindness. Let yourself let things be easy. And I invite you now, we're going to wiggle our fingers, wiggle our toes, move our body side to side. When you feel Ready? You can open your eyes. Ooh. Hi, Corey. I don't know when you joined. Good to see you. Thank you so much to everybody who joined. And I want to say, I think the only people on here, oh, thank you so much, Kathleen. I think the only people on here are people who are in the winter planning program. So I wanted to say an exciting thing. I'm actually, so the people that are in the program are freaking amazing and I love them. I love you. I'm going to give you a call, Corey. And so I actually want to have the ability. I'm going to schedule the call for the first. I know it's the first of the year, so that's a dicey day for people, but I'm going to schedule these calls so that they're going to be live. I got away from doing this, but after doing the live challenges, I'm like, you know what? Let's do the first of the month calls and we're going to do them live. And so if there's anything in particular that you're working through, that you have questions on, if you want to submit, I want to, there's so many amazing people that are part of this community and there's so much that we can all learn from each other. So I kind of want to make it more of an opportunity to meet up on the first of the month, share what we're manifesting, cultivate magic together. And this was just an idea that came to me yesterday. So I'll send out an email with details for the first. I know that that's a dicey day, but that was just an idea that came to me of just kind of cultivating a little bit more of a community around people who are looking to use time intentionally. Oh my gosh, hi, I'm seeing you in like an hour and a half. I was just talking about the winter planning program. So what we will be doing on the first of the month, I don't know, does any time work particularly well for the people who are on the call right now? I was thinking like afternoon so the people on the West Coast can join. Like maybe like 5 p.m. Eastern. I don't know. I mean, let me know. I'll like send out an email. I don't know if I have. Hi, I'm gonna see you in like an hour and a half. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do after this is go get ready and then get on the train and then we're going to Kava Social. So that's going to be fun. But yes, on Monday for the people who have a planner or the people who technically don't have a planner by some twist of fluke of it not arriving, we will be meeting on Monday. And so I'll send details with that. If you're registered for the challenge, I will send you the details. Homework for today is just looking for moments of ease, looking for moments of grace in these next 24 hours and just letting things be easy. And if somebody does an act of kindness, like letting yourself receive it as opposed to, like, oh, it's okay. Like if somebody tries to open the door for you, you let them. If somebody tries to, just like let life be easy, at least for these next 24 hours. And so for tomorrow, final day of the live stream. And what we're going to be doing is crafting our new reality. So this is crafting our world for 2024. I'm going to be talking about some of my favorites. So the word is flow. So we're going to be flowing into 2024. That was so weird, but that's like whatever. We're going with the flow. So I'm going to talk about my favorite way to get into flow is through creative hands-on crafting. And so I'm going to be doing some of my favorite manifestation crafts for 2024. I invite you to join me. It's at 2:30 Eastern tomorrow. So I'm so excited. I love you guys so much. I'm so excited to just create magic in 2024 and beyond. So thank you so much for being here today. I'll see you tomorrow for the final day of the challenge, and I'll see the rest of you in like real life and then on the first of the month call, which I cannot wait for, which is going to be a little bit more interactive than they've been in the past. Okay. Love you guys. I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye. Let me end.